Maybe some of you have seen the chart of the performance that we have had, and there are two things I'll say about that. One is the performance is very good, but the other is very volatile. And therefore, that's another reason why, please do your own due diligence and be very careful on making sure you do that. One of the big pluses of the last year or so has been the emergence of Guanajuato silver, and there's some good reasons for that. One reason the stock was so low priced was they weren't making any money, and although they were a strong producer of silver for the most part, why it's a high cost, and so they had high costs, no profits, therefore a low stock price. On the other hand, we've seen some excellent developments just in the last few months. They did have some problems with a portion of their underground mining. They were able to raise for them a chunk of money, I think 20, 30 million this summer. Remember, it's a relatively small silver company, and they've started to use that to improve efficiency, such as buying underground trucks that can be used in tunnels to make transportation cheaper. But maybe the big deal, which I've talked about in the newsletter, is the deal to acquire for around 40 or 50 million a mine from Endeavor Silver, which is small for Endeavor, but is large enough so it will double, roughly, the total revenues of Guanajuato from close to 100 million a year to 200 million a year. And even though this stock has moved up some, that's close to 300 million, but still, that's a relatively low amount of market cap for each dollar of revenue. I mean, let's say you're paying about a $1.50 per market cap for each dollar of revenue, which is very low. And they also are saying that the combination of the new mine with their current mines, because it's in the same exact portion of Mexico, can allow for significant efficiencies, particularly on the refining side, when rather than having 3 working refining mills, they have shut down, at least temporarily, one of them and increased the use of the other 2, which includes in part from the new mine, and there should be significant improvements in efficiency. But of course, the biggest reason to buy a Guanajuato, I think, is, as I say, since the revenues are low compared to the market cap, the substantial increase we've been seeing in the silver price will have a greater impact on Guanajuato. For sure, percentage-wise, they'll go from a small loss now to what could be a very significant profit, which is probably one of the big reasons I think the company is for sure on one of our 3 silver mining recommendations, and maybe the one that has the greatest potential. So don't turn your eyes away from Guanajuato. I think it can be a good one. If you want a copy of my book, The Speculator's Mosaic, just check below, or it can also be bought on Amazon.